that process will begin now. Wow. So, General, please stand.
You solemnly swear.
The testimony you're about to give in this matter
Shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help you God. I do. Do. Thank you.
I do.
Thank you. Sister Kagan, I know you have an opening statement, and I will. Now
the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, Senator Sessions,
and
members
of the committee. I'd like to thank Senators Kerry and Brown for those generous introductions. I also want to thank the President again for nominating me to this position. I'm honored and humbled by his confidence. Let me also thank all the members of the committee, as well as many other senators, for meeting with me in these last several weeks.
I've just discovered that they call these courtesy visits for a reason. I know that we gather here on a day of sorrow for this body, with the passing of Senator Byrd.
I did not know him personally, as all of you did. But I certainly knew of his great love for this institution, his faithful service to the people of his state, and his abiding reverence for our Constitution. Or anything else we should know about? Oh, have you not heard? Heard what?
A moving reminder to each of us who serve
of the ideals we must seek to fulfill.
Loyal.
Thoughts and prayers.
I would like to begin by thanking my family, friends, and students who are here with me today. It's really wonderful to have so many of them behind me. I said when the President nominated me that the two people missing were my parents, and I feel that's deeply again today. My parents lived the American dream. They grew up in immigrant communities. My mother didn't speak a word of English until she went to school, but she became a legend.
And my father, a valued lawyer.
And they taught me and my two brothers that this cis is the greatest of all countries.
Because of the freedoms and opportunities it offers its people.
I know that they would have felt that today. Yay.
Well...
And I pray...
Oh my God, I pray to see God
that they would have been proud of what they did in raising me.
To be nominated to the Supreme Court is the honor of a lifetime. I'm only sorry that, if confirmed, I won't have the privilege of serving there with Justice John Paul Stevens. His integrity, humility, and independence, his deep devotion to the court, and his profound commitment to the rule of law. All these qualities are models for everyone who wears
or hopes to wear a judge's robe.
Former Justice John Paul Stevens spent 35 years on the Supreme Court, writing some of the court's most important decisions. Today, at 99 years old, he's still writing and weighing in on some of the country's most controversial issues. Judy Woodruff caught up with Justice Stevens last month, and he shared his thoughts on everything from President Trump to gun ownership.
He is opening up carefully about current affairs and even the current president.
I'm not a fan of President Trump, I should say. I wouldn't try to comment on every particular issue in which we disagree, but there are plenty of them.
And his effect on the country as president?
I don't think it's been favorable.
Can you elaborate?
Well, yes.
These accidents can happen when there are too many guns around.
Oh, Lord. Again. Again. Nothing new, nothing changed, same old shit. Same old fucking shit. And the whole world is still in your same costume that's been in for years. You never took the time to sew it up, glue it up, anything.
And that has reminded me of reason to be opposed to the Second Amendment.
My own thinking, it took quite a while to really reach the conclusion that the death penalty does more harm than good.
It's a terribly expensive and really pointless process.
Stevens was high in 2008.
Dissenting when Justice Antonin Scalia,
Man, boo, tomato, throwing tomato.
Conservative colleagues voted in a landmark case.
And it was particularly bad, there's no doubt about that.
Do you worry that is something that's going to stand for a long time and will continue to have repercussions in this
Oh, yes, I certainly do.
The other two rulings in that category that Stevens opposed at the time and laments to this day are the pivotal Bush v. Gore ruling deciding the 2000 presidential election, and the landmark Citizens United ruling in 2010 on campaign finance during Stevens' final term.
It's clear how strongly you feel that Citizens United was wrongly decided.
Just look at the amount of money. I can't give you the figures, but the millions and millions of dollars are spent on campaigns now, and often there's state representatives spending money provided by residents of other states. People in the district should be the ones who decide the outcome of elections.
Right. Clock it.
Today's EA's court retains the conservative tilt that existed throughout much of Stevens' tenure, and since the installation of its newest justice, Brett Kavanaugh. Some liberal groups have questioned
whether some precedents, like the Roe v. Wade ruling on abortion rights, will remain.
It looks as if
People who feel strongly anti-abortion want the court to take this up and do away with Roe v. Wade.
Well, it could happen. I just don't know what's on the agenda for other justices.
But it did seem to me that that was not a very controversial topic at the time of my appointment. Later, opposition became more organized and more effective. But I can't predict what's going to happen in the near future.
Damn, he don't got a clue in the fucking world.
Abortion is a necessary procedure that will be recognized and will be performed lawfully.
As for his former colleagues, Stevens helped swear in the current Chief Justice, John Roberts, in 2005. Despite any ideological differences, Stevens still holds Roberts in high esteem.
I trusted him implicitly.
Bitch, you better be joking.
I have the highest regard for him as a lawyer, and I must confess I was disappointed at some of his decisions.
Bitch, me too! The fuck?
And I must confess
I still believe. I lose my mind. Give me a sign. Hit me, baby, one more time.
after he came on the bench that were much more conservative than I expected. But on the whole, I think he's still a very well qualified person.
What? Child. Anyway, so
you have a remarkable legacy on the court. You serve. What do you believe your legacy will be?
Well, it's difficult to figure out, but I'd like people to think I was an honest judge and a good judge.
Oh, hi. Thanks for checking in. I'm still a piece of garbage.
Fox can confirm tonight that former Associate Justice of the Supreme Court, John Paul Stevens, has died at the age of 99.
Oh, she passed away? Oh. All right.
Gerald Ford.
But later became known as one of the court's more liberal members.
He moved steadily left over those years.
As justices tend to. And then attacked Trump's Supreme Court nominee, Brett Kavanaugh, is unfit to serve.
Did I lie? Did I lie?
He became a wild-eyed, crazed partisan in his final years, unfortunately.
Michelle Obama always says, when they go low, we go high, guy. Is that your philosophy?
No. When they go low, I take it to hell, where the lava is at. The volcano erupted.
Krakatoa!
Hell.
Hot. Listen, I ain't mad at that.
Yeah, with Michelle, I get positivity, but sometimes you just gotta take it to hell.
He was succeeded in his seat by current Justice Elena Kagan.
Good morning, everybody. Of the many responsibilities accorded to a president by our Constitution, few are more weighty or consequential than that of appointing a Supreme Court justice.
Particularly one to succeed a giant in the law like Justice John Paul Stevens.
I have selected the nominee who I believe embodies that same excellence, independence, integrity, and passion for the law.
Our Solicitor General and my friend, Elena Kagan. Widely regarded as one of the nation's foremost legal minds.
She's an acclaimed legal scholar with a rich understanding of constitutional law. She's a former White House aide with a lifelong commitment to public service and a firm grasp of the nexus and boundaries between our three branches of government.
Firmly grasp it! That'll do it.
She's a trailblazing leader. First woman to serve as Dean of Harvard Law School. One of the most successful and beloved deans in its history. And she is a superb Solicitor General. Our nation's chief representing the American people's interests before the Supreme Court. first women
in that position as well.
And she has won accolades from observers across the ideological spectrum for her well-reasoned arguments and commanding presence.
But Elena is respected and admired not just for her intellect and record of achievement, but also for her temperament.
Her openness to a broad, because she believes, as I do, that exposure to a broad is the foundation not just for a sound legal education, but of a successful life in the law. This appreciation for diverse views may also come handy.
But while Elena had a brilliant career in academia, her passion for the
law is anything but academic. She's often referred to Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall, for whom she clerked, as Shorty.
Nonetheless, she credits him with reminding her that, as she put it, behind law there are stories. Stories of people's lives as shaped by the law, stories of people's lives as might be changed by the law. That understanding of law, not as an intellectual exercise or words on a page, but as it affects the lives of ordinary people, has animated every step of Elena's career.
During her time in this office, repeatedly defended the rights of shareholders, ordinary citizens against unscrupulous corporations. Last year, in the Citizens United case, she defended
Whoa, he's bisexual. I didn't know that.
By the way, I'm bisexual.
Bipartisan campaign finance reform against special interests seeking to spend unlimited money to influence our elections.
I think it says a great deal about her commitment to protect our fundamental rights. Because in a democracy,
powerful interests must not be allowed to drown out the voices of ordinary citizens. Elena has also spoken movingly about how her mother had grown up at a time when women had few opportunities to pursue their ambitions and took great joy in watching her daughter do so. I think she would relish, as I do, the prospect of 3 women taking their seat on the nation's highest court for the first time in history. A court that would be more inclusive, more representative, more reflective of us as people than ever before. And I think they would be tremendously proud of their daughter, a great lawyer, a great teacher, and a mother. So I hope that the Senate will act in a bipartisan fashion, as they did in confirming Elena to be our Solicitor General last year.
They will do so as swiftly as possible so she can get busy and take her seat in time to fully participate in the work of the court this fall. With that, I would like to invite the person who I believe will be the next Supreme Court Justice of the United States, Elena Kagan, to say a few words.
The court is an extraordinary institution. In the work it does, and in the work it can do for the American people.
By advancing the tenets of our Constitution and by enabling all Americans, I have felt blessed to represent the United States before the Supreme Court.
To walk into the highest court in this country when it is deciding its most important cases.
Cases that have an impact on so many people's lives. I had the privilege of leading one of the world's great law schools, and of working there to bring people together and to help ensure that they and the school were making the largest possible contribution to the public good, both in this country and around the world. Why I so love the law, not just because it's challenging and endlessly interesting, but because law matters, because it protects our most fundamental rights and freedoms, and because it is the foundation of our democracy. Is love, not just on this day, but always. My parents' lives and their memory remind me every day of the impact public service can have. And I pray every day that I live up to the example they set. As the President said,
Mr. President, I look forward to working with the Senate in the next stage of this process, and I thank you again, Mr. President, for this honor of a lifetime. Thank you so much.
Well, it's my distinct honor today and pleasure to introduce this year's recipient of the
Woodrow Wilson Award, Associate Justice of the Supreme Court of the United States, Elena Kagan of the great class of 1981.
Is widely admired by legal scholars for the clarity and accessibility of her opinions and for her ability to find common ground over her 14 years on the court.
Elena was born and raised in Manhattan, the daughter of a lawyer and a schoolteacher, and the granddaughter of Russian Jewish immigrants. She graduated summa cum laude
from Princeton and was awarded the prestigious Daniel M. Sachs Class of 1960 Scholarship to study at Oxford, where she earned her master's in philosophy. She then went on to earn her J.D. from Harvard Law School, where she was editor of the Harvard Law Review.
I hope this will not embarrass her, but I took the opportunity recently of reading her senior thesis. And I think that both she and my own Department of History can be justly proud.
After Harvard, Elena clerked for Judge Abner Mikva on the Washington, D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, and then for Justice Thurgood Marshall on the U.S. Supreme Court.
She served 4 years in the Clinton administration as Associate White House Counsel and Deputy Assistant for Domestic Policy.
Please join me
in welcoming the 2020-2025 recipient of the Woodrow Wilson Award, Elena Kagan, to the stage,
who will be joined by President Gruber for what I know will be a thought-provoking conversation.
Do you want me or do you want me?
We'll switch. You are coming back now as a distinguished Supreme Court justice and as a...
Tell me a bit what you remember from that. What was it like as you came? I was petrified. I mean, yeah, I thought...
What am I getting into?
I've never seen so many blonde people in my life. And you just think, like, okay, I've done pretty well so far, but everybody seems so smart and so ambitious and have so many interests and so many talents.
Everybody's so creative. Oh, get you a big block of cheese and some pasta. Oh, that's big. Big piece of kibasi. Is that paper on it? Is that the rind? Oh. You want to touch everything, so everything can be flavored with your love. Now put yourself some carnation milk and cheese, because it ain't going to slide down easy if it ain't cheesy. If you ain't got that cheese, go down to your local church and see if you can stand in line and get some. Oh, see how that looks? Like you probably wouldn't have did that on your own? Is it good? You good?
And you are kind of, you know, how, am I going to fit? Am I going to do okay?
You did okay. I don't know how exactly I got into that. I think it was my resident advisor. I was sort of looking around. I was trying to figure out, like, what kind of extracurriculars do I want to do? And he said, like, why don't you go write for the newspaper? And I thought, okay, why don't I try that? And I ended up spending, you know, an enormous amount of time.
I spent a lot of time in that building at all hours of the night. And but I learned to write fast, and I learned to write clearly, really. And so that was, you know, it's an incredibly formative experience in terms of, you know, my friendships and just sort of my life. The dean said something about my thesis. My thesis got me into some trouble. He was nice enough not to tell you what the topic of my thesis was, because when I had to go through all these Senate hearings, you know, people are looking to try to find things to say, what kind of person are you and how can we make trouble for you? And my senior thesis, which was my junior paper, was on a set of primarily Jewish, primarily very leftist unions in New York City, which my grandparents had been part of. And I went from there to my senior thesis, which was all about the Socialist Party in New York City. And of course, those senators who wanted to make my life miserable
Thought if she wrote about the Socialist Party, she must be a socialist.
Democratic Senator Charles Schumer wants Kagan to steer the court back to the middle.
The rightward shift of the court under Chief Justice Roberts is palpable. In decision after decision after decision after decision,
Special interests are winning out over ordinary citizens.
Republican Senator Lindsey Graham wants Kagan to rule without regard to her political slant.
Take political activism,
Association with liberal causes.
comes.
Melvin Urofsky is the editor of the Journal of Supreme Court History. He says these speeches serve a purpose.
It is the only time that the Senate can talk to the Supreme Court, that they can tell the Supreme Court.
Through the nomination process, we are concerned about this, we are worried about this, we don't like this, or we do like that.
The senators will also ask about her lack of judicial experience. She has never been a judge.
In the past, Elena Kagan has criticized Supreme Court confirmation hearings as a farce, arguing that no nominee really reveals their stance on the issues. Now that she's in that position, analysts are anxious to see if she'll recant those words or if she'll clearly state her views.
Carolyn Presutti, VOA News.
So my senior thesis got me into a little bit of trouble, but it was an incredible experience.
And I came out the other end. I mean, there was a period in which I thought I might even want to be a historian, and I was disabused of that. It was very nice of the dean to say she loved archival research, but it was really that archival research that made me think, You know, not really. But I did just have this incredible experience of
it was, you know, it's a big project, and you know, how to keep a narrative going and how to say interesting things in an interesting way, yeah, is something that, like, I tried.
Oh my God, do I try all the time in this institution.
That story you just told about your senior thesis and your confirmation hearings illustrates just how carefully people look at every word that you say. You and I are both in jobs right now where our institutional role limits what we can say, you more so than me. And, can you say a bit about how you think about the guidelines and parameters for what you can say and for conversations like this one?
Yeah, you want to know how boring I'm going to be today. Everybody knows you can't ask a Supreme Court justice about the cases that they're going to be ruling on, or about internal deliberations. I mean, everybody knows that. You know, and notwithstanding that, you know, I mean, you know, sometimes do
Talk about the court and how it operates, and I hope we'll engage in some of that today.
But there are times when I feel a little bit more willing to be open, a little bit less willing to be open, and you happen to be catching me at a time where, you know, we're right in smack in the middle of our term, and there's obviously a lot coming at us and will be coming at us in the next few months, and a lot of people. So I'm going to try to get through 45 minutes without anybody thinking that they learned all that much about.
So I'm
about the things on the horizon, which everybody knows.
Wait, say more.
You know, like you pick up the newspaper, there's a lot going on in the world. Sorry, heroes. Sorry.
So I'm going to start.
Now hundreds of creatures from another dimension are spilling out into our reality and wreaking havoc. Tearing a hole into another dimension is a tragedy that should have never happened.
We're sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry. Sorry.
I have to ask a quick question. Your fellow Justice Sonia Sotomayor, you've done true or false?
It is true.
Yeah. I'll join that applause.
Applause, applause, and live for the applause, applause, live for the applause, applause, live for the way that your children scream for me. The applause, applause, applause.
So, okay, so we know the true story there now. Wow.
For what it's worth.
Mother.
Broadened out, is that right? But, I'm sorry, do you want to go on, or did...
Not about being deep. Let's talk a bit about the Supreme Court, subject to the qualifications that you gave.
Okay, this is a time for some snark. You know, very interesting questions come before the court. It's a very
heady experience.
But I have to say that in Justice Marshall's chambers, we thought that we kind of had everybody trumped.
When you think about Supreme Court justices, I mean, a lot of us, you know, honestly, are just nobody's going to know our name in 40 or 50 years. So a lot of us are lost to the sands of time. But those who aren't, you know, they're mostly known for what they did on the court.
A blindfolded half-court shot that is now the talk of campus and beyond.
Are you kidding me?
It went in.
Did you see it?
Yeah.
Is that on tape?
Yeah.
That was perfect.
He mimicked people, he made fun of people, but all in this kind of great, good-humored way.
And we would go into his chambers every day, and we would talk through this normal stuff that gets done in a Supreme Court office. So you would talk about the cases that you were going to hear, or the cases that you had just heard, or you talked about an opinion draft. But then, at a certain point, he would kind of segue. And
maybe you can talk a bit about how the Supreme Court does its business. Most people never have a chance to see behind literally the curtain.
Behind the scenes and what goes on. So there's an oral, and then what happens?
It's an oral argument, and then we take a couple of days. It's actually pretty rare. Most appellate courts, they'll just go right into conference, and they'll start talking about the case and deciding the case. We take a couple of days to think. I think that's a really good thing. It allows us to go back. There are questions that have come up in the oral argument. There's more research to be done. There's more talking to be done, maybe with your clerks, maybe with other justices. You get to think a little bit. And then we go into conference, and we sit around a big table in the conference room, and we go by seniority. A lot of the Supreme Court practices, rituals, whatever, are by seniority. It always starts with the Chief Justice. The Chief Justice will kind of introduce the case, remind us of, here's what it was about and the issues, and say what he thinks of it, and cast a tentative vote. And then it will just go around the table by order of seniority. If you're the junior justice, by the time it gets to you, a lot of stuff will have been done already. It's like nobody's like hanging on your every word. But as you get older, you sort of move your way up around the table. I'm smack in the middle right now. So we do that, and sometimes it will be just completely clear what we're doing. We go around the table once. There's a rule that says nobody can talk twice before everybody talks once, which is a very good rule. And sometimes it will be, we go around the table. That's the end of it. We know what we're doing. But other times the issues are more complicated. People are fractured. People are sort of thinking about the case in different ways. And we'll just then have a conversation where we try to get each other to a place where we can see how a majority opinion will be written. And so then we walk out.
You know what? No, I am going to leave.
And the Chief Justice, in any case in which he's the majority, will assign the opinions. If he's not in the majority on an opinion, the most senior justice in the majority will assign the opinions. That all happens in, we have 2 week sittings, and at the end of a sitting, there will be a set of assignments made.
Similarly,
the senior justice in a dissenting block, if there is one, will usually assign a dissent. So that's the way assignment gets made, and then, you take your assignment, you go work, you circulate it around. People get to comment on it, carp about it, join it, not join it as they want. And if there's a dissent, there'll be a dissent. You'll go back and forth and yell at each other some on paper. And that's the way it works.
So let's talk a little more about that process at the end where people are joining, not joining, yelling at each other.
So maybe you could talk a bit about that aspect of the job. What kinds of compromises between justices are okay, what are not? And will you ever walk down the hallway, and, for example, go to Justice Gorsuch and say, could we talk about this? I just can't figure out what you're doing in this opinion.
Did you just pick that name out of a hat or something?
I sort of did, but run with it.
Yeah, so this is what Justice Brennan used to have this thing, the rule of 5. It was like a big deal, the rule of 5.
It's like, so Justice Breyer had this saying. He said, it's easy to get 5 when you started with 7.
But of course, everybody wants, we all want to have majorities for our opinions, even better than 5 is 6, 7, 8. But 5 is definitely good. So what do we do to get that is, I guess, the question that you asked me. And do we bargain? Do we compromise? No and yes. And no and yes.
Sometimes it was a little bit ridiculous that the way we got agreement was by defining the case down to nothing, down to an issue that actually nobody cared about in the world, and leaving the issue that everybody did care about undecided. But sometimes it really worked out quite well.
It depends. A lot of it is done in writing, in part because what we're trying to persuade each other of is really sometimes very complicated. It's not easily reducible to a quick conversation in the hall. It's actually pretty darn complicated, and to give it its due, the U.S. government ends up participating in about 70% of the cases that the court takes, either as a party or as amicus curiae, a friend of the court. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody's supposed to be like, hey, hunky-dory, I mean, because, in the end, the results matter, and people are absolutely entitled to make judgments about the court based on the results that the court is
reaching and the reasons that the court is giving, I definitely have a feeling that I am writing for an institution, not just for me. And you're also very aware that what you're writing is going to be the law, and it's going to have to be used by lots of people in lots of situations. Lawyers are going to read it, they're going to have to figure out what the law is based on it. When I'm writing a majority, I am really focused on not making any mistakes and on work. So the dissents really, you don't have that. It's not going to be the law.
Not immediately.
Okay, good one. I like that confidence.
There's something sort of liberating and fun about writing to dissents. The eloquence probably does not translate all that well in a majority opinion.
Yes.
Justice Scalia was a person.
Allegedly.
Wrote good majority opinions, he wrote amazing dissents, that sort of thing. So it was important to convey to the world that we were actually capable of operating as an institution. And so it forced us, if you get to the end of the conference table and you're 4-4, it's like, well, what are you going to do? You have to keep talking.
I think that is so important about our judicial system and its integrity. Yeah. I think the court's way of doing business in these difficult cases is something that actually should give people tremendous confidence in the institution. You may disagree with what various justices are doing, but this is a set of people voting their conscience.
No.
Well, you're right. It is. It's a very serious institution internally.
You want an example?
I'd love an example.
Basically, the foundation of our democracy is voting, and there are lots of different ways in which voting rights can be compromised. And so this is the practice that is all too common in the United States, which is basically no matter how you guys vote out there, we've figured out a way of districting so that it all comes out the same way.
Numbers go up, numbers go down.
It's supposed to be the voters pick the representatives, not like the representatives arrange the voters so that they get to entrench themselves in office. But that is too often what gerrymandering does, and it means that your individual right to vote is diluted and compromised, and it means that the democratic system just isn't functioning as it should because the representatives are entrenching themselves in office no matter what the people think. You could imagine somebody saying, oh, it's bad, but the Constitution doesn't say anything about it. Actually, what the court thought was that the courts couldn't do anything to remedy the problem. Essentially, that this was a constitutional problem without a judicial solution, and that it just had to be in the hands of representatives because there was no fair way or no way that didn't involve the judge's own political preferences.
Gerrymanders are so easy to do these days. All you do is press a button on your computer. It used to be it was hard work to do a gerrymander. Now, you have all this information, you have these incredible computers, boom,
how bad this problem is for American democracy and how the court really misunderstood how courts could police it. And I think that this is an enormously important thing to think about in this environment where we're obviously living in a polarized time, in a polarized country. It's not too hard to see that.
And the question is, how are we going to get out of it? And I think...
we can take our own views, our own beliefs really seriously, but we have to be able also to listen to other people who are saying different things. You can't persuade those people unless you understand them.
Do you think I don't know these people?
These are very powerful people you're talking about.
So?
And sometimes, in understanding them, you'll even come...
And that's the way that in the end, a polarized society can become less so. So I applaud.
So I'm gonna wrap with this.
Pussy, 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 marijuana. Pussy, 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 marijuana. Wanna. Pussy, 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 marijuana. Pussy, 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 marijuana. I wanna smoke weed every day, and I'm gonna eat that pussy. Period. Calm my pause, but hold the applause.
The next president needs to be a lot quieter, but send a signal that we're prepared to act in the national security interests of this country.
Please clap.
the court came Sandra Day O'Connor and Ruth Bader Ginsburg. For these reasons, the Supreme Court is a wondrous institution. But the time I spent in the other branches of government reminds me that it must also be a modest one, properly deferential to the decisions of the American people and their elected representatives. Those wise restraints that make us free.
What I most took away from those experiences was simple admiration for the democratic process. That process is often messy and frustrating.
But the people of this country have great wisdom, and their representatives work hard to protect their interests.
Well,
the Supreme Court, of course, has the responsibility of ensuring that our government never oversteps its proper bounds or violates the rights of individuals. The Supreme Court stood as the part of government that was most open to every American. The idea is engraved on the very face of the Supreme Court building. Equal justice under law. It means that everyone who comes before the court, regardless of wealth or power or station, receives the same process and the same protections. In no other place I know is the strength of a person's position so tested, and the quality of a person's analysis
so deeply probed.
And because this is so, well, I always come away from my arguments at the court with a renewed appreciation of the commitment of each justice to read a commitment that defines what it means to live in a nation under law.
I am 17 years of age. My job in the mill is to fill 34 loom magazines. I earn $3.50 a week, trying to support a family of 4 on this wage.
I'm a textile worker, and I'm not making much money, but at least I got a job, and that's better than nothing, and they won't get me to strike.
I've been a textile mill worker for 20 years. Today, I am doing more work and getting less pay than I ever did before.
The whole appellate strategy, how you were going to get to Brown v. Board, by a series of cases that took on aspects of Jim Crow.
Blue skies smiling at me, nothing but blue skies do I see. Bluebirds singing a song, nothing but bluebirds all day long. Things going oh so right. Noticing the days hurrying by. When you're in love, my heart may fly. Blue days, all them gone. Nothing but blue skies from now on.
Hey, Queen. Girl, you have done it again, constantly raising the bar for us all, and doing it flawlessly. I'd say I'm surprised, but I know who you are. I've seen it up close and personal. Girl, you make me so proud, and I love you.
And I thank all the members, both sides of the aisle, who stayed and have been so attentive. We will come back here at 9 a.m. tomorrow. We stand.
The test is over. Now